Hi guys, let's get ready for the final exam. If you have not already, please print out this document. It says Review of Course Outcomes. Print this out and use it to take notes on the review that I am about to do. So if you haven't printed it, hit pause and print it out. Okay, hopefully you've got this in front of you. And what we are going to do, the final exam is going to focus on the course outcomes, which are listed in your syllabus. So the final exam is going to have 25 questions. They're going to be multiple choice or true false. That means that they will grade automatically and you'll be able to see your grade as soon as you finish. You will have 1 hour to finish the exam. Once you start, a timer is set and you've got an hour. But take your time. I have yet to see anyone on either quizzes or exams use all the time that it's allotted. I've seen an awful lot of people go way too fast and then get things wrong. Please don't let that be you. Take your time, check your work before you hit submit. The final exam will be available beginning on Tuesday, May the 4th at 9 o'clock a.m. You will need to finish it by Friday, May the 7th at 5 o'clock p.m. Grades are turned in by me on Monday, May the 10th. So in order to do that, I have got to be able to have the exam by Friday, May 7th at 5 o'clock p.m. So please be aware of and observe that deadline. Okay. What we're going to do, as I said, is look at the course outcomes that are found in the syllabus for this course. You may not even be aware we had a syllabus. You may have looked at the syllabus but not read it very closely. But if you do look at the syllabus, you will see that there are 12 course outcomes defined. This is what we want you to learn and be able to do as a result of taking this class. The first course outcome is that you would be able to define Ninian Smart's 7 dimensions of religion. Number 2, be able to describe and compare key features of world religions. Number 3, be able to define the basic terms in Hinduism. Number 4, be able to articulate the 4 noble truths of Buddhism. Number 5, be able to discuss the meaning of selected chapters from the Tao Te Ching. Number 6, be able to describe a basic history of the 3 Abrahamic religions. Number 7, be able to define contemporary branches of Judaism. Number 8, be able to define contemporary branches of Christianity. Number 9, be able to describe the good news of Jesus Christ. Number 10, be able to tell the story of Muhammad. Number 11, be able to articulate the 5 pillars of Islam. And then finally, number 12, develop and articulate a personal philosophy of religious diversity. Do you think you can do those 12 things? I bet you can already. Even if you don't realize it, you could probably do most of those, if not some of those. But let's go over those right now really quickly. Have your paper ready and be ready to take some notes. First of all, 7 dimensions of religion. Of course, our textbook was organized around 6 of these. After our textbook was published, later on, Ninian Smart, famous religion scholar, added the 7th dimension. So the first 6 you should recognize because you've been reading these sacred texts all semester. There's sacred narrative. These are stories that are handed down through religions. They might be stories about how the world was created, stories about the heroes of a religion, stories about a religion's god or gods. Um, these might be stories that are understood to be historical. They might be stories that are understood to be fables. But at any rate, they are handed down. They're narratives. And then number two, doctrine. Now, don't get this confused with ethics. Doctrine is teaching about beliefs. What is true? What is true about the universe? What is true about the existence of God or gods? What is true about how human beings are to relate to God or gods? What is true about the ultimate nature of reality? That's doctrine. Number three, ritual. This would be forms of worship and spiritual practices. They might be done in public. Ceremonies, worship services, rituals in Christianity like baptism and Holy Communion. They might be done in private. Things like meditation or the daily prayer in Islam. So that would be ritual. Number four, institutional expression. This is how a religion organizes itself. This is the, well, the institutional part of a religion, how it goes from just being an idea to becoming something that has recognized leadership and defined membership, and institutions like schools, monasteries, mosques, synagogues, churches. It's the organizational side of a religion. Number five, experience. Every religion invites you into some kind of experience, whether it's enlightenment in Buddhism or experiencing the presence of the divine through meditation or through worship. And so sensing the presence of the divine, feelings of awe, serenity, insight, other kinds of feelings, emotions, things that, you experience. The sixth dimension would be ethics. Don't get that confused with doctrine. Ethics is teaching about behavior. What is right? What is wrong? The Ten Commandments are a great example of ethics from both Judaism and Christianity. The five precepts from Buddhism, which include things like don't steal, don't take life, don't be drunk. Every religion has teachings about how you are supposed to behave. What is right, what is wrong. That's ethics. Now, those six, you've been following along in your textbook. All of the readings have been organized by one of those six dimensions. Later, Nenny and Smart added the seventh, which is the material dimension of religion. This would be the art or the architecture, the things the physical things that are associated with a religion. In Judaism, the men wear a little skull cap that's called a yarmulke. That's part of the material dimension. In Christianity, there's the chalice that a lot of denominations use to drink the wine, to take the wine of communion. In Judaism, there's the ark. In the back of the synagogue or the front of the synagogue, where they have the scrolls, and those are usually kept in very decorative containers. All of this, the statues that you see in a Hindu temple, all of this, the prayer rugs that Muslims use, these have to do with the material dimension of religion. Why is it important to know these seven things? Because it's very hard to define religion. Scholars have found that it's almost impossible to have one stated definition of religion. But what they have found is that there are certain family resemblances. There are certain characteristics that seem to be present in all or most world religions to some degree. And so by identifying these seven dimensions, scholars have been able to sort of get a handle on what religion is and how we can understand and study and compare religions. So that's your first course outcome, the second one, be able to describe and compare key features of world religions. I think a really good way to do that is to understand the basic features of Eastern religions versus Western religions. You might remember we discussed this at the very beginning of the semester. In the Eastern religions, and that would include the ones we studied, would include Hinduism, Buddhism, and the Chinese religions of Taoism and Confucianism. In the Eastern religions, there's one ultimate reality, and then often in many of them, there are many deities. And so this looks a lot like polytheism. In Hinduism, you have all these different gods, but they're understood to be different manifestations of the one ultimate reality, Brahman. In the West, there is one God, one God, one God only. The Western religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. And in those three, it is fiercely understood that there's one God, monotheism. Okay, another key difference. In Eastern religions, that ultimate reality, whether it's the Tao in Taoism or this impersonal force called heaven, the force above in Confucianism, or whether it's Brahman in Hinduism, this ultimate reality is impersonal. It's an unknowable kind of just a force or a reality, not really a personal being, as in Western religions where the Christian and Jewish and Islamic God is understood to be a personal, transcendent being. And by personal, we mean personality, characteristics, desires, goals, standards of right and wrong. The ultimate reality in Eastern religions, Brahman or the Tao, is understood to be inside the seeker. You get in touch with ultimate reality by meditating, by quieting the mind so that you can encounter ultimate reality. But in Western religions, this personal, transcendent God is a holy other, separate from creation. Not within all of us, but someone who created the world and created each one of us and is therefore separate from each of us. Okay, some more differences between East and West, key features of religions. In the Eastern religions, time is cyclical. It just is a cycle that repeats and repeats. In the Western religions, time is linear or processive. It is understood that what I do today will have an impact and will change tomorrow. In Eastern religions, the problem is ignorance. In Western religions, the problem is sin. In Eastern religions, the problem of ignorance is solved by enlightenment, by becoming aware, by knowing what's really going on. In Western religions, this problem of sin is dealt with through atonement and forgiveness, although the religions have different understandings of how that happens. Another difference between East and West. In Eastern religions, there's an understanding of reincarnation. You get many lives. In the Western religions, you have one soul, one life. In Eastern religions, the goal is to achieve moksha or nirvana, which is basically liberation from the cycle of reincarnation. In the Western religions, the goal is to go to heaven. To live forever in a conscious state in the presence of a personal God. And so, one more big difference, Scripture in the Eastern religions is more about experiencing the divine through sounds and chanting. In the West, Scripture is more about learning and teaching truth. For these reasons, the Scriptures in the East are more fluid, and yet in the West, the canon of Scripture is fixed. We have the Tanakh in Judaism, we have the Bible in Christianity, we have the Quran in Islam, and those scriptures are finished. I'll be right back.